This video is brought to you by Hoodbeast.com. Design your own custom hoodies. Hoodbeast.com.
Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zach Lee. And once again, since there was really no news that came out yesterday, we are going to be doing something different. Last time something like this happened, I wound up talking about teams that could surprise you by being better than you expect them to be next year. And today we're going to be doing something kind of similar, except with players. Not just players that I think could be better than you expect them to be next year, players that could take home the ultimate trophy, one of the most prestigious awards in the NBA. Players that could surprise you by winning the MVP award next year. Because you know, sometimes there are players that do that. Most of the time you can predict players that are going to be nominees or have the highest chance of winning. But there are times throughout NBA history where there has been a player that has seemingly come out of nowhere to win the MVP award. For example, back in 2015, Stephen Curry did just that. Going into that season, I don't think anyone predicted him to go on to win the MVP award that year. Matter of fact, if you were to tell me that Stephen Curry were to win the MVP award in 2015 back in 2014, I would have said that you were crazy. But obviously it happens, and that's just proof that it could happen again. Disclaimer, the players I'm about to list won't include James Harden, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, players like that, because obviously those guys are always in the running to win MVP, and it wouldn't be a surprise if any one of them won it. On to the video. Yes, I think John Wall has what it takes to be the MVP of the NBA. He is an MVP caliber player in my eyes. Here is a guy that is 26 years old, about to be 27 when the season actually starts, coming off of a career year in which he put up 23 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals per game. Easily a top 5 point guard in the NBA. He led the Wizards to the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, only 2 games behind both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors for either the 3rd or the 2nd seed in the East, which means that if you weren't paying attention to the Washington Wizards last year, that they easily could have got those seeds had it not been for their terrible start to the regular season last year. The Miami Heat get talked about as being the Cinderella story of the NBA gone wrong last year. They turned their season around just to barely miss out on the playoffs. However, the Washington Wizards were the Cinderella story gone right last year. Throughout the first 15 games, they had a record of 5-10. They were terrible. Most people didn't even think they were going to make the playoffs, and for the majority of the first half of the season, they were a below 500 team. However, they still managed to turn it around and finish with a 49-33 record and the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, and it didn't stop there. They only came up 1 game short of making the Eastern Conference Finals. It was a really good year for the Washington Wizards. Matter of fact, it was probably the best year they've had in 40 seasons, since back when they were known as the Washington Bullets. I'm talking about back since like the late 1970s here, as sad as that might be, and it's all thanks to John Wall. He's the type of player where you can put on any team and he makes everyone else around him looks better. And I know the Wizards aren't like the best team or anything like that, so you wouldn't think a player on that team would have a chance to win the MVP award, but keep in mind that the MVP award is a regular season award. What your team does in the playoffs doesn't matter at all. So even if the Wizards aren't seen as a team to make the NBA Finals or anything like that, if they can get the 1st or the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference, which is extremely possible, if they keep playing like they were towards the end of last season, then I could for sure see John Wall's name being mentioned in the MVP conversation, and maybe he even wins it. I bet not too many of you guys saw this name coming. Jimmy G Buckets. The G stands for gets. Actually, now it stands for got. Jimmy got braid. He switched over to the Western Conference this year and will now form the Super Braid Bros alongside Andrew Wiggins on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I wouldn't say he is as much of a lock or would have an easy of a path as someone like John Wall to the MVP conversation, since he's in the Western Conference, which will make it harder for him to shine. So that is a bit of a knock on his MVP case, but at the same time, that could be a good thing. See, the Wolves are about to be one of the more interesting teams in the NBA next year. This is the year that they will finally make the playoffs. We expect them to make the playoffs, and unlike the past 5 or 6 years we've been saying this time it's for real. They will make the NBA playoffs. But at the same time, we don't expect them to reach their full potential just yet. We expect it to take the Wolves at least a year or 2 before they become actual NBA contenders, mainly because Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins are still both really young. But we do have to remember that Jimmy Butler is still freaking Jimmy Butler. The dude put up 24 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds per game last year, and almost single-handedly got the Chicago Bulls team to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, but still the playoffs. And now that he has more talent around him than he's ever had in his career so far, I expect him to ball out. You could say that his numbers might take a little bit of a dip since he has to share the ball in the spotlight with Andrew Wiggins and Towns now, but I don't even think that's the case. Jimmy Butler is going to be the leader of this Minnesota Timberwolves team. He is going to have the ball in his hands more than the point guard Jeff Teague. The Chicago Bulls played Jimmy Butler off ball for a decent amount of last season, since they also had Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo, both players who like to facilitate the offense as well. So they put Jimmy Butler over to the small forward, and of course he did really well when he was playing the small forward position. He averaged 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, almost matched his regular season totals. However, towards the end of the season, when Rajon Rondo was benched and Dwayne Wade was out with his mandatory regular season injury, Jimmy Butler saw more time at the point guard or point forward, whatever you want to call it, position. He was the one making the plays for the Chicago Bulls, and that was for a solid 15-game stretch. And take a listen to what Jimmy Butler was doing during those 15 games. He was averaging 29 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals on 53% shooting from the field and 40% shooting from 3. If Jimmy Butler played the point forward or point guard position all season long, he very well could have been an MVP candidate last year. And that's more or less the Jimmy Butler that I expect to see this year. I'm sure Tom Thibodeau and the rest of the Minnesota Timberwolves staff saw that sample size from what happened when Jimmy Butler got the ball in his hands more. They know that in order to get the maximum out of Jimmy Butler, they need to put the ball in his hands. Let him run the offense. See, he's still great off the ball, which is a great thing, but on the ball, when he's the guy making the decisions, he is MVP caliber status. And on top of that, he won't be putting up numbers like that just to fight for the AC. No, like I said, he's gonna have actual talent, a lot of great talent around him this year. And if he puts up numbers like that alongside with what Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns and Jeff Teague bring to the table, then the Minnesota Timberwolves could be better this year than I think people expect them to be. And in that case, Jimmy Butler very well could win MVP. Matter of fact, if that happens, I can guarantee you that Jimmy Butler will win MVP, point blank, period, end of discussion, braids. You saw the name, do I even need to say anything else? I'd say out of all the players on the list, Giannis Antetokounmpo would be the least surprising if he won it. But since he wasn't a real candidate last year, I say real because he actually did get some votes, but they were like a couple of 5th place votes, which made him finish like 7th or 8th in the MVP race, so he wasn't a real threat to win it. So yeah, since he wasn't a real threat to win it, it would still be considered him coming out of nowhere and surprising people by winning the award next year. Look though, I mean, we all expect Giannis to freaking ball out this upcoming season. We expect him to be one of the best players in the NBA next year. We expect the Milwaukee Bucks to be one of the best teams in the NBA next year. This is the year that they're finally going to be healthy. Middleton, Parker, and Giannis will all be on the court at the same time. Surprise, surprise. Hopefully. And if that happens and Giannis takes another leap forward like he did last year when he won Most Improved Player, then the Milwaukee Bucks could finish with a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, as crazy as that might sound. If that's the case, then you kind of gotta award the MVP award to Giannis Antetokounmpo. It only makes sense. There really isn't even much to say about Giannis Antetokounmpo. We all know the man is pure flame. He is a huge part of the future of the NBA. He will win at least one MVP award in his career. At least one, I expect multiple. And the first one could come as soon as next year, even though he's only 22 years old. That is scary. But that's going to lead us to the question of the day. What players do you think could surprise us by winning the MVP award this year? Let me know down in the comment section below, but now let's take a look at what you guys said in yesterday's video. And yesterday, what the heck did I talk about? And yesterday, after that video of Kyrie Irving yelling at one of his teammates during a pickup game came out, I asked you guys if you think he has what it takes to be a good leader, and here is what you guys said. Question of the day: Kyrie obviously can lead a team scoring wise, but as far as leading a team to a championship, he would have to improve his all-around game, passing, defense, etc., and not be as much of an ISO player. Question of the day: Kyrie can't be a good leader like Kobe or MJ, however, he needs to learn to pass the ball when he feels it's necessary. Playing ISO is great, but that won't get you a championship. Kind of ironic that you would mention Kobe and pass the ball in the same sentence to talk about not getting championships, because we all know that Kobe got championships by playing ISO ball, but I kind of see what you were saying. But at the same time, I'm not willing to say Kyrie Irving is a ball hog just yet, because his role on the Cleveland Cavaliers is to score. They give the ball to him so he can go get buckets, not so he can make plays for everyone else. That's more of LeBron James's role on the team. Kyrie Irving's just there to get a quick bucket. As for him being an actual leader, it's hard to say right now since we've never really technically seen him, so I guess we'll just have to wait until he does get traded to see exactly how good of a leader he can be. Like always though, don't forget to leave your answer for today's question of the day down in the comment section below. But other than that, thank you once again for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more daily NBA videos. And until tomorrow, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here.